I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I am now 3 years sober. 3 years ago, I made a decision that changed my life for the better, and I want to talk about it from very start, during to now. So stick with me for some tools, truths, and unexpected lessons. Now, I just want to say this is based on my journey. Everyone's journey is completely different, and that's down to everyone's relationship with alcohol being completely different. So this is not a how-to, but it is a video for you to maybe be inspired by or relate to. If you're going through something similar and you want to look for the light at the end of the tunnel, then this is it. So let's head all the way back to before I was sober, and I'm just going to talk about my relationship with alcohol and where I was at with it, because people just assume when I say I'm now sober, they kind of assume that I was an alcoholic, and I don't think I was. Maybe I was, I don't know. But what I do know is that I had a bad relationship with alcohol, and it had a lot of negative effects on all areas of my life. But at the time, I didn't really know. Does that make sense? So I guess to other people from the outside looking in, I had quite a normal relationship with alcohol. I would go out every now and then, have a few drinks, maybe go too far. And people saw it as fun, and well, that's what I thought anyway. Maybe they did, I don't know, but for me it was not always fun. And towards the end of my relationship with alcohol, it actually got worse and worse. So I have spoke about this on a video previously, and I've actually got a video way back, like before this 3 years, me explaining my relationship with alcohol and how it used to make me feel, how it used to make me feel quite in a dark place and depressed. And it's so actually interesting to watch back now. Now I'm at this point. So yeah, I didn't see myself as an alcoholic. I wasn't dependent on alcohol. I didn't drink every day. But when I did drink, I used to go for it and just be a bit of a hot mess express. The alcohol did have negative effects on all areas of my life. So when I say all areas of my life, I mean with relationships, with money, with work, with my mental health, with my physical health. But the main factor is I felt like I was in a rut, like a continuous cycle of wanting to do better in life, but being held back. I couldn't quite put the finger on what it was until the penny dropped and I realised it was actually the alcohol. And this went on for quite a long while before I quit. And what's worth noting as well is I tried quitting a good several times before I actually quit. A lot of people think there must have been a rock bottom for me to have made this decision. However, there was quite a few before I made this decision. One being, now this is terrible, really bad. I went out one night. This is way before I decided to quit drinking. I went out one night and drank a hell of a lot of a vodka. And I can't even remember being out. I went out into Nottingham, can't remember it at all. And during the night, I managed to fall over, bang my head, got myself unconscious. Can't even remember it. I just woke up the next day really dizzy, not being able to stand up. I didn't know what was happening, and I had to go to A&E for a brain scan. Now, you'd think this would be one of the points where I'd think, do you know what, I really need to quit. However, it wasn't, and I carried on for longer. That's just one bad example, but even the little bad examples just all add up, and it made me not a happy person. So this brings me to the final straw, the day I actually decided to quit. The 13th of May, 3 years ago, is the last day I drank. It was a beautiful sunny day in the UK, and I'd had a friend round in my garden and we drank a few bottles of wine. She decided to leave maybe at like 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, and I decided to go to the co-op and buy more and carry on drinking by myself. And the next morning, this big dark cloud over my head again. And I just thought, why am I here again? Like, this is just ridiculous now. Like, I'm never going to get anywhere in life if I just continue this cycle over and over. And that was the day, the 14th of May, 3 years ago. I decided that's it. Enough's enough. So let's move on to how I quit. Like I said, everyone's relationship with alcohol is extremely different. So How you're going to quit might be different to someone else. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. But here's how I quit, and maybe you can try a few of these things if you're on a similar journey. So number one, I told myself I'm only going to do it for 1 year. After that year, if nothing's changed, I can go back to drinking. Because telling myself I'm going to quit forever was so overwhelming, and I couldn't kind of face that mentality. So just telling myself it's only for a year, you can do it for a year, it kind of gave me like that head start. Obviously, it's now been 3 years and things did get better, so I carried on. And even to this day, I still say to myself, I can now have a drink, like that year's passed, and I now can have a drink if I want to. But giving myself that choice gives me the power. Rather than me telling myself I'm not allowed to drink, telling myself I can have a drink if I want to, but I choose not to, it makes me feel a lot more powerful. Number two, I listened to this book on Audible called, I actually don't know what it was called, The Alcohol Experiment by Annie Grace. And trust me, I listened to it at least 50 times. I'd put it in my headphones before I went to bed and I would listen to it every single night. Literally, it must have been for over a year till I actually like got to a point where I was like, do you know what? I don't need this book anymore. But that was such a good book. I will link it in the description below. Number three, I didn't really tell anyone. I didn't really want to make it a big deal. Going sober is a very lonely journey. And I feel the more pressure you put on yourself, the harder it's going to be. If the pressure was on, then there was more, I don't know, like it was just, I just really didn't want to put the pressure on myself, like by plastering it all over the internet, my Insta, Facebook, everything, saying, hi everyone, I've gone sober, everyone, I'm sober, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'd just rather not put that pressure on myself, so I just didn't. And even when I went out, I'd never really say, oh, I'm not drinking. I'd just get a soda, and if people wanted to believe that was alcohol, I'd let them. You know, if you don't tell people, people don't really ask. The more you tell people, people are like, why are you not drinking? Oh, just have one. Like, they put the pressure on. Even to this day, trust me, it's one of my biggest pet hates, but I will cover that later on in the video. Number four, I surrounded myself with similar like-minded people who were either already sober or sober curious and on that journey. And obviously, I don't hang around with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis. So I did this via social media. I seeked out similar content creators that were my age and made being sober look normal. And that was a really big thing that helped me. The more normal it was to me, the easier it was. And then it kind of made drinking not that normal. And it was like, oh, actually, drinking's quite weird. So let's talk about the first part of the journey. This is the hardest part. For me, it would be the first 3 months. So I quit in May, and obviously it's summer. The sun's out, there's barbecues, people are going to the pub. But let's face it, there's always an excuse to drink. So to be honest, it doesn't actually matter what time of year you quit. And I feel if you quit in the hardest time, then the rest is actually a piece of cake. So yeah, first 3 months were probably the hardest. That's kind of when I was more aware of people drinking, aware that I wasn't, just being very kind of steady with what I did and avoiding social situations, avoiding pubs and whatnot. I can't even remember what I did in that summer, to be honest. I may have just gone into hiding. I really can't remember. Obviously, when you are going sober, your social circle changes as well. And this is one of the hardest things about going sober. But I can assure you it's for the right reasons. So bear with it, get through it, and get to the other side. It is going to be hard in the beginning. But trust me, the people that want you to drink are not your real friends. They don't want the best for you. And it's a hard pill to swallow at first. But trust me, you find your people. If people want you to drink, it's because they have an insecurity themselves and it makes them feel better. So when they're sat there saying, just have one, come drink, do this, do that, it's because they're feeling a certain way and they want to bring you down with them. They have things to work on themselves. So you carry on doing you, because trust me, when you get through the other side and you start meeting like-minded people, which can take time, it is so worth it. Also, another really difficult part in the beginning is your identity. So for me, I felt like drinking was my whole personality. And I thought, if I quit drinking, who am I? Who's going to like me? I'm just going to be so boring. I'm going to be nothing. And I could not see a sober version of myself. I just could not get my head around it. But I have news for you. I have really good news for you. You actually become your true self and you realize that alcohol was such a fake part of your life anyway. Honestly, it's quite overwhelming. So, one thing a lot of people think is that alcohol gives you confidence. And I probably thought that for myself as well. But when you remove it and you start to spend time with yourself, you start to get to know yourself. Over time, you actually start to build real confidence and realize that alcohol was a mask. It's literally just like putting a mask on and being someone else. It's not real confidence. And when you remove that mask, you start to build real confidence. Again, give it time. One of the biggest questions I get is, did I struggle with cravings or triggers? And quite frankly, no. I never was dependent on alcohol, so I wasn't drinking on a daily basis anyway. So I didn't get like shakes or anything like that. The cravings, however, so this is an unexpected thing I got from sobriety. A lot of people assume that you lose weight when you go sober. I put quite a lot on because I replaced alcohol with cake. That was now my treat, and I didn't stop myself because I thought, do you know what? Cake is so much less harmful for my body and for my mental health than alcohol will ever be. So if I fancy a cake tonight rather than 10 bottles of wine, I'm going to go for it. But yeah, I carried that on probably for way too long. I'm probably still doing it now. The last thing I want to talk about in the hardest part of going sober is the loneliness. It's a very lonely journey. When you are going sober, you are doing it for yourself and by yourself. That is probably one of the hardest things because no one really understands it. Well, not many people anyway. It sometimes feels like you're in a battle against everyone that is drinking. Yeah, it can definitely be a lonely journey. And even now, like celebrating this 3 years, I'm celebrating it all by myself because I've done it all by myself and no one's here with me doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's still it's an extremely lonely journey. But like I said, you do find your people, and the further you go into it, the more people you meet. And most importantly, are you ready for a bit of cheese? You find yourself as well. So let's get into the good bits. As I've already touched on briefly, confidence. Your confidence will skyrocket, and this will be true confidence as well, not alcohol confidence. One of the things I kept telling myself before I quit drinking is that I want to work on myself. However, the drink distracted me away from that, and I never got round to actually working on myself. However, when I quit drinking, it finally gave me the time and freedom and confidence to start working on myself. And I really, really did get to know myself. This is personal development and it's a never ending journey. Every day I'm still learning something new about myself all the time. And I love it. Another thing that gets easier is that friends tend to now just accept that you don't drink and they don't even question it. We love them friends. Now, one very unexpected plus of going sober for me was festivals. Now, before I quit drinking, and I was a hot mess express, I would forget so much. I would throw up a lot. I would just be a bloody mess. But yeah, not remembering anything, not being present in the moment. And now I am, and it's insane. Like, I absolutely love festivals now. Whereas when I drank, I actually didn't because I wasn't enjoying myself. And now, because I'm fully present, I'm literally soaking in the atmosphere. I can hear the music. I can remember every band. I can remember conversations with my friends. And I'm just feeling good all night. So it just makes that whole experience so much more enjoyable. And yeah, I've just found a real love for raves and festivals. I would never have thought. Also, dancing. Now, dancing, this was crazy to me because I never really had the confidence to dance, even when I was drunk. Just never. Never. And then I went to my first festival a couple of years ago, my first festival as a sober person a couple of years ago, and I still just didn't have the confidence to dance. I probably did a bit of two-stepping, but I was looking around me and everyone was dancing and having an amazing time. And I was looking in awe. I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. And it's taken me a while, but I'm there. I can now literally go and dance, and oh my goodness, I feel so free. And that feeling is amazing. It is amazing. So, a couple of pet hates that I still face to this day is people that say, just have one. Why don't you just have one? One won't hurt. That is one of my biggest pet hates. I just feel as though I never pressure anyone into not drinking. I never look at anyone, judge anyone. If they want to drink, cool. You do you, I'll do me. As long as I'm left to my devices, I'll leave you to yours. Do you know what I mean? So I really find it so disrespectful when someone starts laying into me saying, just have one. One's not going to hurt. I just think, why would I break my 3 year sobriety so you can watch me have one drink? If I want one, I will have one. Another pet hate is because I've now become sober, people assume I've become a taxi driver. FYI, I've not. If I wanted to, I'll let you know. I'll drop you a card and you can bell me. I'll come pick you up. But in the meantime, just don't ask for a lift. It's not going to happen. Okay, thank you. Cool. I'm glad we got that covered. Yeah, one of the biggest pluses about being sober is being able just to get in your car whenever you want and go home. It is one of the best bits about being sober. Yeah, I definitely don't want to have to drive around the Midlands dropping people off. It's not on my plan, not on my to-do list. Let's not go there. So this is something I wasn't aware of that would happen when I got sober, is how tired I get. When I go out to festivals or raves, I do get hella tired, and it's because my body is not full of stimulants. Sometimes I do need a little break, or I'll get a can of Monster. Nevertheless, I'm still fully enjoying myself. It's just at the end of the night, I am done. I'm ready for bed, not ready for a kitchen party. Do I miss drinking? No. What has changed for me is not only has my mindset changed towards drinking, but the thought and the taste. I think if anyone used to smoke, I used to. When you quit smoking and you've quit for a long while, the thought of a cigarette actually makes you feel quite sick. And it's now the same for me with alcohol. I just don't want to drink. Like, it doesn't appeal to me. I can't imagine it tastes nice anymore. The feeling that it gives you of like losing control and feeling a bit dizzy and a bit like, I just don't like that. Also being loose-lipped as well, you know, when you just have verbal diarrhea and you can't control what you're saying. I absolutely hate that feeling. And then, yeah, with the memory loss and being sick and feeling rough for days after, and the big black cloud of depression that comes with it, I just can't see like any benefits of drinking anymore. Like, I can't get my head around why I would want to drink, even though I allow myself, like, if I want to go and have a glass of wine tonight, I'm more than allowed. But yeah, I would just actually boff. I think probably the only thing that I would enjoy is a pina colada. Maybe. I don't know. I'm saying maybe because I actually might have a sip and still throw up. So yeah, if I went out, I drink a lot of soda and fresh lime. And if I'm like at a rave or a festival, I do have a Monster just to break things up and give me a bit more energy. But I'm actually not a fan of like non-alcoholic wines, non-alcoholic gins or anything like that. There's the odd beer, like the odd non-alcoholic beer that's okay. But in general, they're not that nice and they make you quite bloated and just feel a bit. I'd rather have a hot chocolate. Literally, I'd rather have a piece of Galaxy and a hot chocolate and be in bed by 9 o'clock. One last thing that's really important that I need to cover is when you go sober, life becomes boring. You actually fall in love with it. You actually fall in love with this boring life. You're no longer waking up with this massive pounding headache, looking at your phone thinking, oh my days, what did I say last night? What did I do last night? There's none of that anymore. When you're drinking, life is very up and down. There's highs and lows, there's drama, there's lads, dates. Oh, I did this last night. Oh, I've just woken up in Newcastle. Like, I never woke up in Newcastle, by the way. That was just an example. Life was like a reality show. When you get sober, life does become a lot more boring. But oh my gosh, it is amazing. And rather than life being like this, life is a lot more like this. So yeah, there may be less ups, but there's a hell of a lot less downs. I'm in bed by 9 most nights. Do you know what's really nice? Listen to this. It's so peaceful. It is so peaceful. So yeah, 3 years on, I no longer really have barbecues. I used to have friends around all the time. My drinking friends that would drink all my alcohol, eat all my food, use my property to make an absolute mess of. Like I said, not real friends. I sit here alone quite a lot and I love it. I actually love it. So let's wrap this video up because it is 20 past 7 in the evening and it will soon be my bedtime. I do want to say there is no right one way and the journey is yours. But if you are going sober, please stick with it. Just stick with it. I know it's so hard in the beginning, but keep going because I promise it does get better and better. I just also really want to thank everyone that has supported my journey, and thank you so much for watching my YouTube as well because it does mean a lot to me. Don't forget to drop this video a like, drop me a follow, share it out to someone who you think would benefit from watching this maybe. I will see you next week, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and we are actually going to be doing something a little different. It's a different adventure next week, something different, but all part of the journey. All part of the journey. So yeah, I will see you next week.